You believe you've seen it all, but believe me, you haven't. Chrissy Lampkin, the person we all assumed we knew from television, collapsed in court today, but nobody anticipated it. It wasn't just an emotional breakdown. It was her world collapsing in real time. But that's not even the most bizarre part, in fact. Cameron is the last person anyone thought would have the secret evidence that will destroy everything we believed we knew. Regarding Chrissy's secret recordings, disturbing records that were never meant to be made public. If you think this is just another courtroom drama, think again. Cameron's holding might ruin Chrissy's career, and nobody is prepared for what's going to happen next. Stay tuned because you're about to witness a bombshell of colossal proportions. This controversy began like any other, and it will have you wondering about everything. Chrissy Lampkin was a woman seconds away from a complete public meltdown. And nobody, not even Chrissy herself, was prepared for the chaos that was about to break out because sitting in the courtroom that day, silent but deadly, was a man she hadn't spoken to in public. Despite the glam facade, the court day paparazzi flashed fans lining the streets, hoping to catch a glimpse of her as she strutted into the courthouse like she still had control of the narrative. The judge entered, the attorneys nodded, and then all of a sudden, a mysterious silver briefcase was slid across the prosecution's desk. Labeled the Chrissy files. You could sense that this wasn't just about a civil dispute. Something heavy was about to come to light. Years come on, and this wasn't an "I'm here to support my friends" type of vibe. No, Cam was here with a purpose, the kind that ends careers in court. The vibe changed as soon as they inserted that flash drive. First, there were screenshots of hundreds or maybe thousands of group chats, deleted messages, and encrypted WhatsApp communications, except for Chrissy's nervous tapping of her acrylics against the desk. The courtroom was quiet. However, the bombshell voice note caused everyone in the room to stop breathing for 10 full seconds. Her voice was venomous and frantic. "If they believe that I'm letting Jim die alone, they're insane. I created this. This boom is mine." When the security camera footage from a private Miami hotel suite was leaked, it showed Chrissy pacing in heels and screaming on the phone to someone named G. She was ranting about how Cam had flipped and how Cam got dirt. "But if he talks, I'll burn the whole Dipset empire to the ground." The entire courtroom gasped, and the judge literally told everyone to calm down. As you can see, most people are unaware that Cam and Chrissy were practically family back before Love and Hip Hop, before the VH1 checks, before the matching Gucci on red carpets. However, rumors have it that things turned nasty in 2018 after a massive falling out over a backdoor deal involving real estate money that mysteriously vanished. And her jaw tightened as if she were holding back a scream, because who was G and how did Cam get his hands on this footage? The courtroom, according to insiders. Cameron never received his cut and remained silent for years, until admitting that this was a personal matter rather than a move for influence. According to another leak, Chrissy transferred almost $150,000 from a purported women's empowerment foundation to a private luxury brand startup. However, the business never even got off the ground. Instead, it was Chrissy's sudden image globe, which was created by makeup artists and stylists using charity funds to create paparazzi moments. These were intended to be given to single mothers. But the IRS is apparently monitoring every transaction, and the NDA is just one example. The judge was presented with a thick, signed document from 2018 that described a confidential agreement between Chrissy, Jim, and Cam about a private altercation involving physical threats, recording devices, and alleged payments. To their surprise, the document was leaked, page by page, line by line. Cam's team had it all. Chrissy's lawyer attempted to object, downplaying it as unimportant history, but the judge didn't buy it and denied the motion. At that point, Chrissy broke down, leaned forward, whispered something to her lawyer, and started crying, not the kind of tears you see on TV, but the kind that scream, "I'm losing everything." Cameras zoomed in as her lip trembled, covering her face, and you could hear her whisper, "He wasn't supposed to do that." While everyone was fixated on Chrissy, they failed to see that Cam's legal team wasn't finished yet. They had more accusations. Cam remained steadfast, didn't flinch or blink, and simply sat there as if he was watching justice finally come to pass. According to financial data and an unidentified source who was willing to testify, Chrissy redirected money to her private brand partnerships by manipulating production budgets on several seasons of Love and Hip Hop. Chrissy allegedly persuaded a young public relations assistant to sign a fictitious invoice claiming $22,000 in media placement fees that were actually used for her birthday yacht party in Turks and Caicos. The assistant now works for a rival network, and guess what? She is reportedly prepared to speak on record about using show money to finance opulent vacations under the pretense of business retreats. There were conspiracy videos on TikTok, Instagram blogs were going crazy, and Twitter was on fire. Chrissy pushed him too far with something behind the scenes. Regardless, it's obvious that the public had quickly turned against her. One comment read, "About time someone pulled her card." Even celebrities were chiming in. Was posted by another. "This is why I don't work with reality stars who think that," a verified producer tweeted. "They are CEOs, and since wasn't just a messy love triangle scandal either. It involved Rico Energy, racketeering, financial fraud, tampering, and possibly even obstruction." Chrissy's freedom was at stake, not just her reputation. The judge called for a recess, but instead of getting up, Chrissy just sat there while everyone in the courtroom whispered about the feds being in the hallway and how her lawyer appeared to have aged 5 years in only 5 minutes. Here's the kicker. Cam wasn't the only one with receipts. As the courtroom emptied and Chrissy was being escorted out, barely able to keep it together, someone else arrived through the back entrance. Mama Jonesy's, the woman who never stays quiet, carrying what appeared to be a manila folder. They were sitting there with their shoulders shaking and a tissue clutched in one hand. Jim Jones wasn't even there, according to rumors, and he has been avoiding the whole thing. As well as a Bluetooth in her ear. You know Mama Jones? You already know that she only appears when things are about to get ugly. What's in that folder? What part does she play in all of this? And why did Cameron smirk when she entered the courtroom? Reporters were still outside going live. Bloggers were already making headlines about Chrissy's cancellation, but inside that quiet hallway, Mama Jones had just entered, and the atmosphere completely changed without a word from her lips. But the drama in her eyes and the manila folder in her hand were no coincidence. She had come to confront Chrissy, not to console her. She walked right past security like she owned the building and went straight to the private witness room without hesitation. When the door closed behind her, the only sound anyone could hear was her voice echoing through the vents, telling them, "What you did, Chrissy, or I will now listen." This is a deeply twisted history. A history of healing we didn't know how far. Chrissy allegedly went to silence Mama behind the scenes, according to a leaked email that mysteriously appeared on a gossip blog minutes after Mama arrived. Chrissy once offered a reality show producer $50,000 to cut all Mama Jones scenes from season 4 because Mama had threatened to expose a deal. Chrissy and Mama Jones never had a peaceful moment from the early days of Love and Hip Hop. They clashed on everything: money, power, and Jim. Chrissy made behind Jim's back, selling a private investor in Atlanta the partial rights to one of his unreleased music catalogs, which allegedly wasn't even Chrissy's to touch. However, now that everything is falling apart, Mama Jones is no longer quiet, and insiders claim she kept receipts back in court. Things quickly picked up speed, and Chrissy hadn't returned yet, still locked in the witness room with Mama. However, Cameron was back in his seat, and he appeared far too composed, as if he knew this storm was coming. The second bombshell was revealed by the prosecution when they discovered a voicemail that Chrissy had left to an unidentified woman in March 2020. In it, Chrissy is terrified about a missing wire transfer and yells, "I told you to use the ghost account, not the F connection." Now they're tracing it. Right now, this has nothing to do with Lil Durk or the crew, but the fact that F is mentioned in any financial. Every warning sign is raised by the conversation under inquiry. Potential prosecutors asked the court right away for time to subpoena banking records from 2 Atlanta-based shell companies that were allegedly connected to Chrissy's business team. Just when we thought things couldn't get any worse, the FBI entered the hallway, not in silence. And their full presence, complete with suits and badges, wasn't for show. They had names, and they requested to speak with Chrissy's legal team in private court. However, the situation was stopped because the tension was high. Enough to choke on one insider from the courtroom, posing as a law intern, sent a text message that read, "They found the offshore accounts. Boom, game over." Chrissy's unexpected wealth jumps. New cars, luxurious vacations, million-dollar investments had been rumored for years. But officials now apparently believe she was using show money, charity donations, and brand deals to overseas accounts, with 3 different aliases: CL Monroe, Vera Santiago, Christina Jones. And 3 more names with the same birthday are all registered in Panama. When it was revealed, Cameron didn't even bat an eye. Instead, he leaned back with his arms crossed and grinned as if he had been waiting for this moment since 2019. Meanwhile, Chrissy had just then, the last person anyone had anticipated, arrived. Jim Jones appears exhausted. He didn't look at the cameras, didn't greet anyone, and just wore a hoodie, sunglasses, and an expression like he hadn't slept in days. He went straight to Mama Jones, whispered something in her ear, and hugged her and Chrissy. She emerged a few seconds later, her mascara running, her lips shaking, obviously trying to keep herself together. She reached for Jim's hand, which he withdrew loudly enough for everyone in the front rows to hear Jim whisper, "You lied to the feds, now know everything after years of me." When Chrissy's shoulders broke and her face fell apart, she froze. Left after Mama Jones sent her away, and the public devoured it like wildfire. Within minutes, videos of Jim turning Chrissy down in court began to appear on the internet. The real reason why his Instagram blogs went viral after Chrissy revealed Mama Jones' warning. Farrell, a user, wrote, "I've known Chrissy was shady. She played everyone but not Cam." The court resumed with one final exhibit, an anonymous statement submitted just hours earlier by a former executive producer at VH1, which claimed Chrissy routinely bribed editing teams to manipulate her appearance on screen. Another person said, "This is bigger than reality TV. This is federal indictment level." And they weren't wrong. In exchange, she gave them access to high-level influencers and brand hookups, eliminating any instances of verbal threats or even reported physical altercations. In one terrifying line, it was stated that Chrissy weaponized reality television and every man around her to build an empire of lies. After a lengthy wait, the judge established a date. Next Friday is the start of a formal investigative hearing. In the interim, Ms. Lampin must turn in her passport and desist from Chrissy broke down once more from any media coverage of this case. She turned to face her lawyer and then Mama Jones, who refused to even look at her. She tried to reach for Jim, but he had already left. That power couple brand shattered that reality TV royalty image, and she was about to leave in silence when a voice came from the hallway. "Andy Smith, oh, you're quiet now, but while I was on the chopping board, you were really talkative." Boom. Another turn of events. Another adversary. Another we continue this storm of betrayal legal battle. And reality TV retaliation in part 3. Where Yandi enters the ring and more secrets are revealed, and the feds tighten the news. If this shook you as much as it shook us, don't even consider scrolling. Hit this chapter is about to open because it appears that Yan Dundee has her own receipts. And rumors circulating from that courthouse indicate that she has been waiting for years to expose Chrissy. Like that button, subscribe, and enable those alerts because this story isn't finished yet. More secrets are coming to light, and I promise you won't want to miss it. Tell me what you think in the comments section. Do you believe Chrissy is guilty, or is she merely the fall girl in a larger scheme? Let's talk about due to the fact that this drama is far from completed.